Hello there, folks. I hope you guys are having a great Thursday. We are. It is extremely windy outside, but we're having a great day. Hope you guys are having a great day. Thanks for coming out. And when you come in, say hi in the chat so we can shout out to you guys. I already had, you can see my beautiful assistant is here with us this week again. After much, people wanted her back. So I got her back this week. Had to increase her pay, though. I had to pay her double of last week.
Okay.
So, she got 0 last week, but she got double. All right, so it's good to see you guys. Good to see Steve DeRuiter out here, Chuck Ott. He is in his bunker in Delaware. And also Daniel DeSimone. Hey, Van fans. How you doing, buddy? So it's good to have you guys out. I hope you guys are having a good week 3 of shelter-in-place coronavirus task force 1000 stuff and things. Oh, even Fred Masterful is here with us. Fred the Masterful from Virginia. He's in the live stream.
Nice.
So we got a full crew this week. Okay. So how you guys doing? Hope you're enjoying your sequester deals. We have been blowing up with orders. Blowing up, exploding, killing it, bombing it. Oh, hold on, wait, that's something else. That's what they say they're going to do to the virus. We've been doing great. There we go, that's good. On orders. And I just thank everybody for that. I think a lot of it is because people are bored and they're trying to think of things they can be doing at home. Of course, you can be working on your van at home, of course, and getting it ready so that one day in your post-apocalyptic future you can use to drive across the
barren wastelands
looking for gas and enslaving everyone you come across. That would be amazing, right? Sounds like something a movie?
Sounds,
I don't know.
like so
Sounds kind of like a movie plot. I think I will copyright that. I'll call it Mad Ken, and it'll be perfect. All right, so
oh my gosh.
I guess I have some stuff. I sold those. Yeah, Daniel says governor has asked for all to shelter in your vans. That's right. That's what we need, to shelter in our vans.
Yeah.
And then we can just drive everywhere.
Exactly.
We just won't come out.
Portable
We'll
shelter.
just stay inside the vans, and then we'll drive around and look at things.
Especially the campers. I mean, you can go wherever you want.
It's been very weird. Like my
camp.
wife and I went a few places. Again, you almost feel like you can't come out of your vehicle. Steve says he has a sustainable solar fridge setup. He just needs someplace warm. Yeah, I hear you. I thought about traveling out west myself to just get some warmth. But maybe it's colder there. I don't know. Today it's in the 50s.
It's supposed to warm up next week, I think. Like the high 60s.
Yep. But I mean, you feel weird about getting out of your vehicle. You can drive places, but then you're like, oh, should I get out? I mean, we went down to the Delaware Bay the other day, and there was actually quite a few people down there. But they were all spread apart. They weren't together.
Social distancing.
We weren't wearing bikinis because it was like 45 degrees or 50 degrees.
Brr.
They were basically just fishing and stuff. So,
yeah.
So, that's all we did. We went there. Everybody looked at each other like, don't get too close and all this stuff.
Everyone's leaving the cities and going to nature.
Yep.
And then we all meet back up again
and
in
we
the
just
nature.
kind of looked at the water for a while and came back home.
Yeah.
Because you need to get out some and, not have cabin fever. So I think that's one of the things in order to keep everything real. Okay? But, the parts thing's been doing great. I did have a little issue this week where I had an order coming from France, several $1,000s worth of stuff. And after I placed the order, they said, oh, we're sorry, but FedEx has told us we can't ship more than 1 kilogram per person per day. So I'm like, that's weird. So then I was checking around all the different shipping companies, and they were all charging exorbitant rates for shipping things. Like you could get a shipment from France through DHL, so I got a quote from them, $1,200 on a shipment that would normally have cost $250. Okay, and a few other shippers that were giving us similar crazy numbers. They're throwing crazy numbers out there. So thankfully, I went ahead and ordered stuff from another supplier and got that coming. Then I just got a thing from them this morning that the shipments from France are going back to normal, and so they should be able to ship it out for me maybe tomorrow, and the price isn't going to be ridiculous. It's going to be back to its normal price. So I'm going to have $4,000 worth of stuff now.
Yay.
Because it's almost going to be like a duplicate order, you know. But the way things are selling, it's not going to last too long. I mean, if this keeps going, the only thing I worry about is other people's finances. Because, you know, unless you're working from home and you can keep, you know, making money, eventually people have to start thinking about, you know, they need to save money or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's good news. I did sell those window regulators that we were talking about last week. I sold a set of them. So, wow, okay. I sold a set of them, and we're going to see how they do. I'm going to get 10 more sets, so the price point on them is pretty low, so I think they're going to sell pretty quick. And also, if you guys haven't watched me, I did some videos this week. I actually did quite a few. I did one on Vanagon engine conversions, and wow, all you have to do, you have to put on a flame retardant underpants when you talk about that. You know, just to be honest, I didn't realize how upset people were going to get. Wow, this one particular guy, he got upset because I said that Audis weren't the best cars ever in the 80s. And I hate to tell them this, but they pretty much stunk in the 80s. But, you know, that's just my opinion. And also the opinion of the junkyard where they all ended up in the 90s. So, you know, my opinion is backed up with the opinion of the junkyard. But that's because... And, you know, when was the last time... Like, you ever watch Magnum PI? On Magnum PI they have, like, an Audi from the 80s. I don't know if it was an Audi 4000 or what, I think. Something like that. Or maybe it was even before they started naming them 4000s, 5000s. And, yeah, that particular Audi... When was the last time you saw one of them on the road? Never. I haven't seen one since the 90s. And it was all because the engines were good, the transmissions were terrible, and the dashboard was like a broken Christmas tree that would just go insane and blink, all these lights blinking constantly. Yeah. But I digress. I'm not going to talk about Audis on this show. Who wants to talk about that? Okay, but we did talk a lot about the conversion. So if you want to take a look at that video, that might help you if you're thinking about engine conversions. I have a couple of things on the desktop here. I'm going to switch to the desktop viewer. I don't know if you guys noticed this. My news feed was getting spammed with this stuff. VW Transporter celebrates 65th anniversary. Blah 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 blah. Okay. I mean, that's great. I'm so happy that Volkswagen, Transporter has celebrated 65th anniversary. That's great. Okay. The bad news is, as you all know, we haven't had one here since 2003. Right? No, hold on. Am I right? No, 2001. Why am I thinking 3? I don't know. We haven't had one here since 2001. So... even though the Transporter lives on and celebrates its 65th anniversary, fat lot of good it's doing us. Because we have nothing! Volkswagen, listen! We have nothing! And, but anyway. So, that's a news story. That's a something to talk about. If you want to talk about the amazing, 65th anniversary of the Transporter, we can talk about that. I kept getting spammed with this little gem. 66 VW bus meets the electric future, e-bully concept. I don't know why all of a sudden I was getting this in my inbox this week, because I'm pretty sure that I've heard about this before. I mean, there's been a few times in the last 4 or 5 years that Volkswagen has did these kind of like official, semi-official electric conversions. You know, this is a company called E-Classics, and they're going to convert it over. You know, and it sounds cool and everything. I mean, to me, these older ones are some of the better candidates for this, because it's a really cool vehicle, but the drivetrain is kind of, you know, I don't want to make people mad, but it stinks. Oh, whoops! Did I say that out loud? It's not the best. Let's put it nice. Okay, so, you know, putting this electric stuff and things in here, I mean, it's an upgrade. Okay, the downside, of course, is that it only goes probably 25 miles, and then you're out of juice. You know, you basically turn it into a ginormous golf cart.
Yeah.
So.
Short distance runs.
Yeah. Well, it looks like everybody was super riveted with that, because we have so many comments in the stuff and things. All right. Do you guys have any questions today? I mean, questions. I can definitely try to answer questions, and that kind of thing. I'm trying to think of the thing that sold the most this week. We've been selling pretty much everything that's not nailed down. But and we were gonna bring in some more of our pillows. And I was going to have her display the pillows, and then we got here, we were ready to start, and we realized that my wife had decided that we weren't going to sell pillows.
No!
And then we put the pillows up.
No.
So there's no pillows!
Listen.
I mean, we have pillows, but we can't sell them because they're put away.
They got moved.
In the motorhome.
They got moved because we were trying to reconnoiter things for a situation going on in here, and we needed some space to move a shelf.
That is true. That is true.
The things that were holding the pillows
There's even Peter.
were in the way. So
yeah. So what's going on is can we have a tech talk episode on engine replacement? Yeah, maybe. So what's going on here is the other day I came in and there were a bunch of termites flying around. So I have to deal with that. I have to get that taken care of. And the guy came and looked at it, and he said, you have to move some of these racks away from the wall. Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah.
So
that's what me and my brother did for 2 hours yesterday.
So we have been dealing with that. We had to make some space. That's why I'm in the pillows. All right, so we got Peter Benici coming on saying, Happy Friday. We got Daniel saying, I've been getting the same stuff in my feed all week, too. Could they have seen the Tech Talk episode on Engine? Yes, they definitely. Volkswagen was watching that, and they were learning. Hopefully they learned some things.
Yeah.
And there's Dave Schaefer. He's taking a break from fighting his Vanagon to watch us from Belize. So good to see Dave on here. Captain Dave.
Yeah, no, the pillows. We have plenty.
We do have plenty of pillows. If you want to go on our website and buy some pillows, if you buy something expensive and you put in the notes, I would like a pillow, I will give you a pillow.
Oh yeah, man. Because we have.
I'm not talking about like 25 cents order.
Like
I mean,
a
decent order, $100 or something. I will give you a pillow.
And there's plenty of designs to choose from. Actually, like there's a few that I honestly.
They are the most amazing pillow. Actually, you could buy one and then you could put the My Pillow stuffing inside, and then it would be like the best pillow ever because it would have Volkswagens on the outside, My Pillow
stuffing on the inside.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
And then at night, you would have the amazingest night's sleep ever.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just the My Pillow guy, he will tell you.
I actually think I may or may not have one of those pillows. They're actually pretty
He will
good.
tell you that. All right, he's the best pillow salesman in the world. I should get him to sell these pillows. I should call him up. I mean,
you're like, hey, can you sell these pillows?
I mean, he helps the president. He might help me out. So Peter wants to know how did the window regulators are out in the wild right now. I hopefully will get a report back next week about how amazing they are, and I'm going to have 10 more sets coming as of tomorrow. So I've actually sold 2 sets. I sent the first set out, and the second set is going to have to wait a little bit because I don't have any more for this second. So we're going to get about 10 more sets of them, and then I'll have 9 sets to sell. I do also have... When I'm done working on my van, I will need a nap. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I need a nap all the time. We have some more headlight kits.
You can't see it, but there's currently 8 boxes.
Yeah, I have 4 more sets of the square headlight kits. If anyone would love them, I would love them back for buying them. Just because right now, because of our squish down because of the termites, I have to. They're in the middle of the room.
There's not very much room for overflow, so anything else kind of gets stuck in here.
Yeah, the amazing headlights. They're wonderful, and everybody's been loving them. I've sold probably 40 sets of them, 50 sets of them, a lot. Yeah, I would say at least 50 or 60 sets. And people are just loving them to death.
Love these ones.
What else am I thinking about today? I mean, like I said, I really haven't had a lot of time to think this week because the amount of orders we've had has easily been double of normal. So, I mean, yesterday, one shop, bought $2,500 worth of stuff. And that was awesome. Thank you.
Heck yeah.
I mean, it's just great to have big orders like that. We've been selling a lot of the gas tank kits. Okay, again, that's a big seller for us, and that's something that definitely needs to get done. If you're bored, have nothing to do, I mean, your gas tank most likely needs to be resealed if it hasn't been in the last forever. Okay, that's a good one to think about. Does anybody have any suggestions on more tech talks? I was going to talk about thermostat housings and stuff a little bit. That was my next idea. Because, there's the plastic thermostat housing. Then we just wound up getting some aluminum ones that are for the synchro, and you can kind of, deal with them. So Daniel says, talk about headlights, taillights, and turn signals. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. I just don't know how deep down that rabbit hole I want to go. Do I want to talk just about the stock ones? Do I want to go into, there's like actually different clear ones and smoked ones, and then there's like the whole LED bulb thing as well to talk about. There's lots to talk about with that.
Don't we have a few?
That's a good question, though.
Like for the van.
Yeah, we do have tail. We have tail. I had a set of clear ones. I sold them, but I still have, I think, a set of smoked ones, and I have a bunch of regulars.
I know moved a bunch over there.
Yeah, see, she knows everything because she just moved it all like yesterday. So that's a good suggestion. Talk about headlights, taillights, and stuff. Yeah, even if you just talk about headlights, right? That's a big situation. You know what would really be great, and I would probably get lots of hate mail for, is the tires. If I talk about tires, right? All I do is mention the word tires, and half of the people in the stream gets super excited, and the other half, their eyes glaze over and they want to jump off a bridge. I'm in the second half with the tires. I mean, I've been on the Vanagon list since 1998, and every week a new person would come on and be like, I don't know if this has been discussed before, but what about tires and wheels? And it's just like, why?
Oh no.
I even made a whole page about it on my Vanagon.com page, just to try to not have to talk about it. Tires and wheels. Let's talk about it. No, wow. I'm not going to talk about tires and wheels. So Peter is in, Dave is in Belize. Peter is in Australia. Okay. What is going on as far as you guys with the sequestering yourselves? I mean, I had a bunch of conversations this week. I had a guy in Belize, wasn't Dave. I had Thorsten talking to him this week. He was in Belize telling me, what was going on down there with him. He lives in Belmopan, which is the capital city. And he was telling me it's getting a little crazy. Then I was talking to another guy in India who is my IT guy on my website. And he was telling me, he had a kind of a strange thing. He's like, India is going to defeat the coronavirus. I'm like, okay. And, of course, it's not any more strange than our politicians saying, we're going to bomb it, I'm going to shoot it, I'm going to smack it, I'm going to kick it, I'm going to give it a Chuck Norris roundhouse or something. I don't know.
What?
Yeah, we're gonna destroy it. Like, you can't do any of that stuff. All right. Hopefully we'll get some vaccines or medicine or something, but you're not gonna give it like a beat down. Okay, it's a virus for pity's sake. But he was telling me, India, we are going to punch it and fight it and all this. I'm like, okay. And he's like, but we're actually just staying in our house pretty much. I'm like, yeah, well, and he works on the computer, so.
That's the only thing.
So that's good, good plan.
The only thing you can do is stay home.
So Daniel says, hard to find rims and tires that fit and are functional on my Synchro. Yes. Yep. You're right. Starting the famous tire conversation. Yeah, there are stuff out there. I have some on my site. Like, for years and years, I used to sell the South Africa ones, okay, which I was super happy with them because they were actually made for the Vanagon. And then when you got to then they stopped selling them. So then they had these Mercedes ones that you can buy, and a lot of people are put them on their van. You see them all the time. Mercedes, they're basically just aftermarket rims that look like the Mercedes rims. But I don't know what their vehicle weight rating is. That's my only big holdup. And people like to, really stuff their vans with stuff and items. Dave Schaefer, he does not do that, so that's good. He's good that way. He stuffs his van with people, human beings, and that's what God intended, alright? But a lot of other people out there, they put stuff on their vans. They've got like this swing out tire thing on the back, and they got like super heavy bumpers, and they got all kinds of racks on the roof, and they've got like a tree house up there, and they've got even storage things under. That's right, Dave's classy. They put storage things under the front. They're trying to like put as much stuff and things on this car. Plus, some people's got Synchros, Westies already. It's already like a super heavy car. And then you're putting these wheels on, and it's like, are they actually going to handle all that weight or not? Now, if I had a Synchro and I was, doing something like living down in Belize like Dave does, and going on a trip through, Central America, South America, I'd have to have steel rims on there. Forget the whole alloy deal, because it ain't going to hold up, Dave knows we did the whole Dukes of Hazzard thing with his van a few times where, you just like hit them speed ramp things, and because you're just not paying attention for like 1 second, look away, and all of a sudden it's like, whee, you're just doing that. Yeah, that's scary.
Oy.
So you want some steel rims if you're going to put some weight in the car. Hey, Fran, good to see you, man. Okay, and he wants us to remind us about replacing fuel lines. That's a good reminder. I should do a tech talk about that, I guess, but right now, I did a video on it. I did some videos on it. This morning had a launch. Yeah, David. It's so easy in Belize. We were in Eleuthera. They have these little speed bumps occasionally. They're small, okay? And if you screw up and hit it, it's not the end of the world. In Belize, it's like a stinking Mayan pyramid or something that you're going to hit. It's like, and then it has this big flat plateau, and then it comes back down. And it's like, if you stinking screw up and hit that, you are flying in the air. Okay?
That's terrible.
It's so dumb. I don't understand. I understand they're trying to like make you not speed. But if you're just thinking about something else for like a second, and you're kind of zoning out, and you hit that thing, it just sucks so bad. So Peter says, yes, I have a metal fab shop, so I'm still busy making sanitized dispenser stands, hoping to go quiet so I can work on my van. Sure, no toilet paper on the shelves, and we were in lockdown. Okay. Yep. Yeah, so, alright, so, that's what I've been hearing, too, in Australia. They are basically in the same mode as us. The thing is, the U.S., we get a lot of visitors from China. That's how we got the virus. Australia's the same thing. They're just as close to China as we are, and they have a lot of business dealings with China, so they're probably in the same boat. So that's good that Peter can keep busy with making sanitizer dispensers. My wife, she wanted to help. She made a whole bunch of face masks, for medical people things, and she's good at sewing and all that stuff. She made a bunch of them, and I just mailed them to our local hospital, so hopefully they'll be able to use them and be able to, help out with this situation. But, we all do our part. Peter's making his sanitizer stands. I mean, I went to the grocery store the other day, and they had 1,000,000 of these hand wipe stations where you could get free hand sanitizer wipes, and you could wipe down your cart, wipe down everything, wipe down this, wipe down that. Yep, so that's what I did. Then you go outside, and it's almost like one of those Wild West movies where, the tumbleweed is going across the street, except it's 6,000,000 hand wipes.
Hand wipes and plastic bags.
6,000,000 used hand wipes are like tumbleweeding across the street. Alright, so Fran wants us to remind everybody, check your fuel lines. Okay? Only you can prevent fuel line fires. Kids. Alright, that's true. And if you check your fuel lines and replace them, then you will prevent that. Because Fran had a fire, so I actually talked about his situation on this show before. Actually, Fran, you're on here now, but I discussed your situation several times with folks, just trying to remind them about that. If you say, what is a fuel line, then it needs to be replaced. Because you haven't done it, obviously. Okay. I did Dave Schaefer's on his van a while back, so he's good. But you guys, I don't know. Alright, and then Steve says vacuum leaks. Yes, vacuum leaks. Okay. Especially on the air-cooled stuff, Steve, just be honest. Air-cooled stuff, it's relying on vacuum. And if it doesn't have good vacuum, it might not run. I had one that I did a while back that would not stay running. And it all boiled down to one of the small little O-ring things on the injector went bad and just disappeared, and had a big enough vacuum leak so it couldn't, the van wouldn't stay running. Once you started it, it would run for a few seconds and then conk out. Okay? So, I hope you guys are all, trying to make the best of this horrifying, terrible situation. Okay? Yeah, the 1.9s, they had a lot of vacuum hoses, too. The later ones, they weren't as bad. They were more going towards electronics for things. So that's why I really like that the Digifont system. The DigiJet system is a nice system, but they were still trying to stay with some of the old school stuff and things, and they didn't want to take the leap. Okay. I've had several people lately. I'm going to address this weird question that I get sometimes. I've had several people lately, come to me and say, what do you think? I want to replace my fuel injection with carburation on a water boxer. And do you sell a kit for that? What would you tell somebody? I know some of the old timers, they love carburetors. They sing the praises of carburetors and how amazing they are, and how everyone should have carburetors, and it's some kind of plot from the deep state is why we don't have carburetors anymore, because carburetors are the best thing ever. I don't recommend it at all. Number one reason is emissions. Okay, that's why they got rid of them in the first place. They cannot pass emissions tests. Number two reason is they're very complicated. You're like, oh, they're so simple. Yeah, until you take one apart. And the better it is, the better it is at being, doing fuel management and making sure everything's working right and running smooth at all different conditions, the more complicated it is. So, I'll give you an example. In the 80s, Mitsubishi, I believe it was, they would not relinquish their carburetors. So instead, they just kept making them more and more and more complicated. And they could get them to pass emissions, but it had to have a computer. Okay? It had to have an ECU that was activating different switches and circuits and solenoids inside the carburetor to keep it working and to make it pass emissions and be honky-dory and all that stuff. And eventually, they finally gave up. But before they did, I mean, they had this really complicated, super complex carburetor sitting on top of the motor that if any little tiny bit of dirt got in there, if any tiny little bit of gum got in there, it killed it. And I think to get it rebuilt, the carburetor was like $1,200 or something stupid like that. So, like, again, back in the early 90s, you'd be walking through the junkyard to see this amazing looking Mitsubishi car, sports car. And you're like, man, why is this in here? Carburetor. They just couldn't give it up. Okay, they just couldn't stop with the carburetor. So, I started out with fuel injection when I was in aviation school. We did learn carburetors, and we did a lot of carburetor work and rebuilds and things. And I will tell you that basically carburation and fuel injection is exactly the same thing. You're like, oh, no. It is. It's exactly the same. What is different about it? Okay, it's that you can interchange things and take things in and out of a fuel injected car very easily. Whereas with a carburetor, you just take the entire carburetor off, and then you have to dismantle it, and then you have to mess with the stuff inside the carburetor, like the little float things and the little needle things. Leah's looking at me and saying, I have no clue what you're talking about. Little needle things and, adjustments and little balls in there and all this stuff. That's what you have to do for a carburetor. For a fuel injection, say I have a problem where one cylinder isn't running properly or something, I could go to that one injector. Okay, that injector's clogged or something. Replace that real easily. Right? 10 minutes with another one, and I'm done. I wonder which one sounds simpler. Then, as far as your intake, okay, you have a throttle body, right? That's your venturi. Okay. There's nothing in it. It's just a hollowed venturi with a little flap in it. Or you have a carburetor where you have multiple venturis, and you have flaps, and you have little linkage things, and it's like pushing another thing that makes this stuff squirt. And yeah, I wonder which one of them sounds more complicated. Oh, the carburetor, yeah, it does sound complicated, doesn't it? Yeah, because it is. Okay, it's trying to do multiple things at once instead of just one thing. So, fuel injector, that's just squirting fuel. The throttle body, that's just adjusting your air, right, in real time. You also have an airflow meter, okay? But again, that's a separate unit. If that's bad, if it tests out, just swap it out. It takes 5 minutes, okay? It's simpler because everything's unitized. Okay, you have an idle unit, you have an idle control valve, all these things are unitized, they're all out there. You can just take it on, take it off, okay? Pretty quickly. But carburetors are cheaper. Aha! Got you. Okay. They used to be, but they're not anymore. Okay. They're not anymore. Okay, let's say you want to put a carburetor set on there. I'm going to go to the one site I know of that sells this. Hold on. We'll go on there real quick. And you can tell me if it's cheaper. Okay? Or not. Okay, let's go in there. So in order to have a carburetor that actually, would work properly, okay, you would want to have a dual carb system, okay, because if you try to do a single carb, you're going to be dealing with something that's called carb ice, okay, carb ice. And what carb ice is that because the air pressure is going through a venturi and the air pressure is dropping as it goes through, if you have any type of coldness in the outside air, okay, the carburetor will ice up, and then once it starts icing up, it will restrict your airflow, and it'll be like somebody's trying to strangle the engine. Okay, yeah, let me do this. And so that's one of the big problems. And so Volkswagen dealt with it by, here we go, by doing some heaters and different things like that. And so that's how they dealt with it, because you have to make sure that your stuff can deal with carb ice. So here is basically what I would consider to be the kit that you would want. Okay, so you can see what's going on here with this. Let me see if I can view larger photo. Okay, so you've got like dual carbs. Okay, they took the whole center of the engine stuff out. You got this big piece of linkage going across here, and you've got your air filters like right here in the engine bay. And you're just, saying, hey, I just don't want to deal with the fuel injection anymore. I want to do carburetors. This is what you would be doing. Okay, so this is the only kit I know of that's kind of like a bolt-on. And so it is $849.95. Okay. And then that doesn't even... You could have to add another $80 if you want it to be clean, rejet, and optimized. So what that means is that they're just sending you 2 generic carburetors. Okay, they're going to be these Weber IDF 40s. And then once you get that, you have to actually jet it to your like application that you want. Okay, so what jetting is like, and I'm not a super expert on that, but jetting is like you're actually adjusting how much fuel the engine's getting to try to make it have the optimal amount of fuel so that you can, use it as a drivable car. I'm going to go back to here. And, that is a process that takes a lot of time and effort. You're like having to go through some drivability things and seeing, how that all is going to pan out. And it's not the easiest thing in the world. Okay. Yeah, so Steve says he sees them for about $1,200. Okay, that's for a carb setup. Okay. Daniel says, I like the fuel injection setup you had built with the rails in a video. I mean, that sounds like the original fuel injection, I think. Maybe I'm going crazy. But, yeah, so you can see carburation, even though it has this, like, I'm telling you, if you were somebody who grew up back in ye olden days, okay, like you grew up in the 70s, 60s, 70s, okay, you would be telling me, hey, carburetors are the way to go, okay, I love them. And part of that is because that's what they were familiar with, okay, they grew up with it, they dealt with it, they knew how to do this jetting process, relatively fast, like 45 minutes to an hour. You're like putting these different jets in, like testing the engine, see how it does. Like Steve said, you're using like different, you have to balance the carbs, too. You can't just, if you have dual carbs, you have this vacuum unit you put on the top, and you, has a little needle thing that goes across and tells you like how much air is coming in. You have to tweak both of them to be, having similar amounts of air coming in so they can be balanced. Okay, so there's so much stuff that you have to do. You have to really kind of know what you're doing. With fuel injection, that's all took out of the equation for you. I mean, there is some fine tuning on it. Again, a lot of people like to get inside, to take that. There's the airflow meter has like this little Allen screw thing. And when anything bad happens, they like to get it. Oh boy, I'm going to turn that, and it's going to do things. Yeah, it doesn't really do anything. Okay. I don't know. They put it on there, okay, but what it actually does, it's a super fine mixture adjustment, okay? So if you are, turning that and it's doing things, something is not right. Okay, because it's only supposed to be after you've adjusted everything else. Okay, you can do a fine mixture adjustment. So, with the fuel injection, it's just a lot more idiot-proof. It's a lot more consistent. And then, as I said, you can have your carburetors adjusted perfectly for idle condition or for low-speed condition. And then you're going up a hill, or you're putting a load on things, and it can't really adjust itself that much, okay? And so you can have drivability issues that way, where with fuel injection, it has a map and it can adjust itself on the fly. I mean, the Vanagon system is not very complicated. It's an old system, digifont system, but it can adjust itself. It's a little bit smart. Okay, it's kind of like that one cousin you have that posts everything on Facebook all the time. But they know enough to get in and out of the rain sometimes. So, it's good enough. And that's why I feel the digifont system is a good system because of how it's complicated enough to be reliable and to be consistently giving you basically the most power you can get. But also simple enough so it's not really that crazy. I mean, I worked on a 944 that was from 1987. Okay, Porsche 944. My friend bought it out of a I think it was it was a dealer. It was a car dealer, and he had bought this car, and then for his son or something, and then the son had drove it for a while, and then it just stopped running, and so he parked it, and it had been parked for like 10 years, 15 years. The son was living in the Philippines or something, and so anyway, yeah, Steve's getting a old Volkswagen Dwell tack machine. That's cool. I mean, I actually have some of that stuff too, but I don't use it. I don't mess with points. No. But anyway, so I got this 944 here. My friend was like, "Hey man, I want this to run." I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds like a good idea." So I started working on it, and I was very surprised. In 1987, it had a really early version of the Motronic system, okay, which is the system that Volkswagen would use in its cars in the 90s. Okay, so this was about 10 years before Volkswagen actually started using this system. They put it in the Porsche 944. And, it was interesting to see, basically, Volkswagen was using Porsche as kind of like their test bed for their new fuel injection systems that weren't ready for, they weren't ready for prime time. And this system was not ready for prime time. I mean, this system is still not ready for prime time. We got it running, and my friend's been using it. It's his most reliable car that he has. And it's still tore up a few times because of the computer, they put the computer in the floorboard of the car on the passenger side.
That's so dumb.
Yeah, stupid. Why? Okay, let's put the floorboard somewhere, and it has a sunroof. Okay, do I need to say more? Okay, they put it on the floorboard, and there's a sunroof, and it can leak and things, and then your computer's underwater, or it's just under the floorboard, and sometimes stuff gets wet in the car, and then it gets on the computer. It gets in the computer. Okay, so like we couldn't get it to run. We were messing with it, and finally. It bothers me when something doesn't work. I want it to work. I was thinking about it all day, all night, up late at night, thinking about it, and I finally got to the point. I'm like, it is the computer. I know for sure. I tested everything else. Computer. So we called this guy Josh, who's in Virginia. He's got a bunch of Porsche stuff, and he's got like a mini Porsche 944 junkyard, okay, which tells you a little bit about it.
Wow.
I mean, this is a beautiful car, okay? I like this car. But it was a little crazy. And so I said, I need a good used ECU. He's like, I will test it. I'll make sure it's good before I send it to you. So while I'm waiting, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to pop this ECU open and go and look in here and see if there's anything obvious going on in here. So I popped it open. It wasn't really that corroded. But I'm like, you know what I'm going to do now? Because I'm just tired of waiting to find out what's going on. I'm going to just take a soldering iron and just reflow every single solder joint I can see on this board. Just for the heck of it. Just to see what would happen. And I looked at it. I had a little magnifying glass. I think I was looking at it with my phone and like zooming in. I couldn't see anything wrong with any of these solder joints. They looked perfectly fine to me. But I reflowed every single solder joint, probably like 30 or 40. On the board, put the thing back together, and guess what? Yep, start right up. Started up. Now, it didn't run perfect. It had issues. It ran a little rough, but started for the first time in like 10 years, 12 years. I mean, it was pretty amazing. So what I'm trying to say is, after all that ramble, fuel injection versus carburetor. Fuel injection, people. You know, if the biggest issues people have is the wiring harness gets sketchy, replace it. Okay, Dave Schaefer got a wiring harness from us on his Vanagon. He was one of the first ones I ever installed, and that was 7 or 8 years ago, and it's still doing good as far as that part of it goes. I mean, he lives in Belize, so his van is living inside of a test track, basically, non-stop testing to destruction. So there's always something going on. I mean, I don't know how many times one of his wheels has flown off. I think it's happened at least twice.
Yikes.
And I mean, yeah. Why? Because the stinking roads vibrate everything to death.
It's not good.
Sheesh. Yeah, and Steve says grounds. Oh yeah, you know what? I should definitely do a tech talk about grounds. Oh my gosh. That would be a whole talk upon itself. That's a good point, Steve. Grounds would be a good one. Vacuum would be another good one. Yep. Yeah, grounds. So many problems happen because of grounds, especially in the vans. And you know, our vans have good grounds, system, I think. But yeah, because they rely on resistance for a lot of their sensors, and if the ground is messed up, it can throw everything off. Okay. So if you're thinking about changing to carburetors, just say no to carburetors, kids. Okay. Be cool. Stay in school. Give hugs, not drugs, and just say no to carburetors. Okay. All right, and especially with the ethanol gas. So that's the final nail in the coffin for me with the carburetors. I have a friend or a guy that I know. I wouldn't say a friend. A guy that I know, and his entire business is servicing boats. Okay, now he doesn't service boats like Dave Schaefer would be the amazing captain of. Instead, he is servicing small boats that has like outboard motors. I guess small to like mid-sized little sporting boats for lakes and rivers and things. But one of the things that happened when they brought ethanol gas here into the U.S., which has been probably at least 10 years, maybe 15 years now, is that people put the boats away for the winter. They winterize them. Everything they've always did, winterize it. Try to run it completely out of fuel before you put it away for the winter. And then in the springtime, they would try to start it, and it just would not start. Would not start. And they would bring it to this guy. I think at first he was kind of confused about what was happening because all of a sudden, his yard is just packed with boats. Usually in the spring he'd have like 5 or 6 boats he'd have to deal with. And his entire yard was just packed with boats. And why? Well, they started figuring out that ethanol fuel, if it just sits for, 3 or 4 months in a carburetor, there's a chamber in the carburetor where there's going to be fuel in there. And you can run it until it runs out of gas, but that chamber is still going to have gas in it to some degree. There's going to be gas in there somewhere. And then when the gas sits and evaporates, okay, it leaves behind, this gummy residue that just gums everything up. And so, he got to the point where every year he was ripping the taking the carburetors out, putting on new carburetors, rebuilding carburetors, all that stuff. And so the ethanol fuel just kills it. All right, so I'm going to get off carburetors. People don't want to talk about it no more. They want to talk about electrical stuff and things. So, yes, Daniel says he had a problem with headlights until you added extra grounds on each headlight. The headlight situation in the Vanagon, electrically, let me be honest about it. It's crap. Okay? It's crap because, not so much the grounds, but the headlight switch itself. Okay? The headlight switch. I actually have a video on taking apart the headlight switch. And I don't know what happened. I filmed this with a decent camera. I uploaded it to YouTube. And then it turned into like something that almost looks like 8-bit hexagon. Oh, it's so bad. I mean, I've even had people tell me like this video makes my eyes bleed. I'm like, you know what? I don't know why. I don't know what happened, but the resolution just went to the toilet bowl in this video. So I need to do another one, I guess.
Does it make any sense?
Inside the headlight switch, okay, is basically like a couple BBs. When you switch from one thing to the next, a little BB moves, okay, and that's what's making your electrical connection. And it's just not a good design. So what happens is arcing. Every time you turn the headlight on and off, it's arcing, and over time, that carbon is building up in there to the point where everything's all carboned up, okay, and then you'll be driving down the road, and your headlights will turn off, or you're out in the middle of nowhere, right? You went camping, or you went to see your friend or something, and you turn your headlights, go to turn the headlights on, and they just won't come on, and you have to drive home holding the high beam thing on the stalk. How do I know that? Because I did that. I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. I mean, now that I've took the headlight switch apart a few times and put it back together, I could probably do that now. But it's not for the faint of heart either. The only reason I did a video about that is because for a while there was like a headlight switch they did from 90 to 91 that has the T after it that you couldn't get for a while. Now you can get it. Okay. So, what is the fix for the headlight switch? It can be one of two things. One thing I like, the other thing I don't like. Alright, I will tell you. So, the original fix for it was putting in headlight relays. Okay? So, if you put in a relay, it's going to unload the switch. And now, when you go to flip the switch, it's not going to arc. Because it's only pulling a little tiny amount of power. Then the relay is actually the thing that's carrying the actual power. Okay? So, that sounds like a great idea. Go Westy has a kit that you can install. You have to cut some wires, and you have to splice some things, and do some more grounds, and you have these extra relays that are by your fuse panel, and that would fix the problem. The problem with the kit is nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with the kit. I'm not saying bad stuff about Go Westy. That one guy, Carlo Kai dude, don't yell at me. Okay, I'm not casting aspersions. But here's where the aspersions lie. It lies with the installer. Okay? Because people buy this kit and they're like, I'm going to fix this stuff and things, right? And so they do a terrible job installing it. Crimps are bad. They don't know how to crimp wires. They don't have no business doing this stuff. Okay? And once they get all done, then your headlights are like kind of working, kind of not working. And it can turn into like a really electrical gremlin. Okay. Good to see Dot Soon back with us again. Okay, he's saying hi. I don't know what happened to Daniel Minsky. I don't know what happened to that guy. He was here last week, and then he like wanted some parts, and then he like just disappeared. I hope he's okay. I'm slightly worried about him, to be honest, because of all this sickness going around. So, the other possible solution, okay, would be to install headlight bulbs that take way less power. Okay? Thankfully, there is a amazing human being that has come up with headlight bulbs such as I describe. That is called Vanagon. Okay? The LED bulbs that we sell, if you have the square headlights, we sell these LED headlight bulbs for the inner lights, outer lights that you can put into your stock headlights housings. They draw exactly half of the power of the stock lights. Okay, I haven't actually tested the round ones we sell. I would say they're probably similar. Okay, so the LED bulbs, they're pulling a lot less amperage, which is going to mean probably zero arcing inside the switch. Should extend the life of the switch double because it's only handling half of the amperage. And you get the extra benefit of the LED lighting, which is way whiter and it's easier on the eyes. It's not as touchy about grounds, and it's not touchy about grounds, not touchy about voltage. I know Dave Schaefer in his van. There's something weird happening under his dash. We haven't fully figured it out. Probably, if I had to guess, maybe his fuse panel, relay panel, is slowly dying because his headlights were always dim. And I went through there, I think, and cleaned all the grounds one time and checked things, and it was still having issues. And I think, inside the relay panel, fuse panel, maybe there's some resistance getting built up because when you're living in Belize, again, you're living in a tropical climate right next to the ocean. You're living in a place that has like adverse conditions already, and it adds up over time. But anyway, we put LED bulbs in his van last time we were down there, and it made a big difference as far as the light that's on the road. Very bright, okay? And I really love it myself. I think it's a win-win. The bulbs should last way longer too. I mean, the lifespan. I had people who were installing the Go Westy kit. Okay, he had to aim them down. Yeah. We were doing the super science way of aiming them, which is like walk towards the van until they blind you to death. I mean, that was our scientific aiming method last time. Yeah, Daniel wants a full set of LED bulbs, even for the interior lights. Yeah, I'm working on that. I mean, I had the headlights down. I still haven't fully worked out the all the outside lights. Yeah, they're light changing. Yeah, I know. I mean, it makes a big difference. Belize is terrible as far as the roads are not that bad, but for whatever reason, I think it's because so much sunlight and it just fades everything really fast. And so the lines on the road are basically non-existent. The road itself looks brown. That's like the whatever stone they're making. I think. Well, I heard one time they were making out of old Mayan pyramids. Yeah. Oh yeah. This one road construction company was like, "We got some nice road material," and then they found out they came across a Mayan pyramid's ruins while they were digging up stuff, and it was like, "Oh, it's making amazing road material." So they were just like grinding it up and using it. But anyway, I don't want to say mean stuff about it. But the road is brown. And the lines fade out real fast. And then they put reflectors in it, they all break and pop out. So you're driving down the road and it's hard to see anything. The ground is also brown. The road is brown. So you need as much light as you can get, is what I'm trying to say. And even in the U.S. here, it's like that too. I mean, whenever I come back from another country and drive on our roads, and then people on television is like, American infrastructure is just crumbling to pieces and it needs to be replaced. I mean, they're right, okay? But also, it's amazing. It's better than any place else I've been. I haven't been to Europe yet, so maybe if I went there and came back, I'd be like, oh, American roads are bad. I've never been back to America after going somewhere else and been like, wow, our roads are so much worse than fill in the blank. No, it's actually always better. Okay. So yeah, and I want to get out and kiss the roads. Like, oh, he's like smooth as glass. So amazing. All right, so Daniel, I'm gonna be working on some more LED bulbs. I kind of got stalled out in a way. I'll tell you why, because I sell so much of the headlight bulbs. I mean, I sell them constantly. Headlight bulb every day. I sell them, and multiple times a day. And so they're turning out great that way. In Russia, potholes can eat a car. Yeah, oh, no. I hear you. In Mother Russia, yeah, that's right. That's right. In Mother Russia, potholes eat you, or something. I don't know. Cars drive you. My son loves all those things. All right, so I guess unless you guys have something else you want to talk about, you've heard my rants about carburetors, which no one asked for. You heard my rant about headlight switches, which you were kind of talking about, so I guess I helped in that way. And of course, we still have these beautiful headlights here. If you want to buy them on the site, we can definitely help you out that way. I want to say thanks to everyone for making this week amazing, and it's not even over yet. Okay, last week we didn't even sell that much stuff until Saturday and Sunday, and then it really got going. So who knows what's going to happen. Parts availability has stayed good, so I'm very thankful for that. Okay. Fran wants to know, does the Pertronics distributor replacement make any measurable difference to the bus engine operation? I would say not really. It does make a difference in the fact that you don't have to worry about the points going bad anymore. That's the big difference to me. And the points that you can get nowadays are terrible. Like the Bosch ones, they like to break for some reason. I don't know why. They've been making points for 50 years, and then all of a sudden, like 2 years ago or 5 years ago, they forgot how to do it, and now they all break. And people call me like, I just bought these Bosch points from you, and they broke. I'm like, I'm sorry, I sent them another set. But it doesn't help you when you're broke on the side of the road. Dotsoon says, my Vanagon has an aftermarket AC unit, which is attached to the top of the van. I don't know anything about it other than knowing the brand is Buy Cool. Wow, okay. Never heard of that one. Never heard that. Tunnel on the interior attached to the headliner has broken and fallen down. Do you know anything about those units or where I can get replacement for? I think it's a swamp cooler, dang. No, I've never heard of Buy Cool before. That's very odd. So, what year van is this? Is it like an older one? I'm familiar with all the factory ACs, and then I've even had a Bear AC in the dash before, and I've had, then of course, all my aftermarket air conditioning experiences. Good, bad, and ugly. I'm very familiar with all that stuff. I was fixing to wrap it up. I know it's weird. We'll talk about that next week, soon. Okay? I guess at this point, we're going to wrap it up. It's been like an hour, so yeah. We're going to wrap it up. Yeah, 82s, it could be anything. I mean, it could be anything. It's an aftermarket system for sure. 82 air-cooled. Yep. I get scared. I get PTSD when you talk about air-cooled Vanagons and air conditioning because I have fought with them. And just imagine putting an AC compressor on an air-cooled engine. And imagine where that goes and how that works. It ain't pretty. Let me just put it that way. You know, it ain't pretty. But we'll talk about that next time. Alright, Dotsoon. Come back next week at 3. And we will be back again with our super live stream. Our amazing co-host will be with us. Maybe, hopefully, we'll get some pillows this time instead of waiting to the last second.
I might go prepare that.
Oh, where's the pillows? Oh, they're not here anymore.
I might go prepare that right after this.
And, you know, we'll try to be back. So, please like, share, subscribe. If you haven't already, make sure you click the notification bell, which is in the upper right corner of the subscription page. And that will tell you whenever we're on, so you can come on and be with us and enjoy all this good stuff. Okay, and for Dave Schaefer, okay, I'll be here to help you. he's working on his electrical gremlins and his AC system, so we get off this, I'll be back to helping him out. So that's it, guys. Have a great week. Be safe, be healthy out there.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands, and we will see you guys on the next video.